Okay, here's the question. How old were you when you realized your talent for art?
Hmm. Um, I think I was in middle school. I knew in elementary school that I had some talent or some skill, but I really didn't think much of it. It was more of just something that I enjoyed doing. But in middle school, my teachers started telling me that they thought I'd have a good shot at a career in art because they would hire me to do their bulletin boards, draw designs for T-shirts and things like that. So that's when I thought that I had some skill because I knew that whenever the teachers needed anything, I was the first one they'd call.
Oh, that's awesome. And I heard that later on you drew on people's pants.
Yeah, yeah. A little bit further in high school, I started. It was fashionable to to paint and draw on pants and clothes. It was that was really one of my first hustles. I actually made some money doing that. So I'd take that money from the clothing, being paid from the clothing. I mean, it wasn't much. It was like $10 for some pants, or $8 for if you wanted me to draw on your shirt. And then I'd draw it all night. It, I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, but I enjoyed doing it. So that was really my first hustle. And then I would take that money and buy more art supplies to do more.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was investing right back into my artwork, business and art.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, also building up a portfolio.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. And yeah, most people knew about you, right? Like as the person who would draw on people's pants.
Yeah, yeah. Oftentimes, like I knew that some people when they want something, they want it because they want to be popular. Some people want it because money. Some people want it because they just want to uh, get the girl, or something like that, right? Um, for me, I think it was I wanted I definitely enjoyed my skill, but I wanted to be known for it. So even if you didn't know me by name, you knew that I was that kid who could draw, right? So it was almost for me, it was more of the popularity of it. Um, I enjoyed it, but I also my chase was the popularity. I wanted to be known as the kid who could draw.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, building up a portfolio and trying to be well known for something that's good, so you could be more successful with that. I understand.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was, one thing to add to that though, it was confirmed once I got to college. My professor was talking to a bunch of art students. I was one of them, of course. So we're all standing in a circle, and she asked um, one kid, what do you want? Um, she said, no, no. She asked him. She said, do you do your art every day? And he said, no, I don't do it every day. So she said, well, okay, if if you don't do your art every day, what will eventually happen is the one who does his art every day, everyone's going to know him for his art. Everyone's going to know that this is the person who does art all the time, and you'll be left behind because you have to be able to develop it and be involved in it all the time in order to be successful at it. Because when somebody thinks of art, you want them to think of you. And so that sort of solidified that idea in my mind of making myself popular.
wow, yeah, this is some really good advice. It's This is some really good advice. Like I'm actually Yeah, I'm actually thinking about this now and just writing it down. I've been thinking about that lately myself
Hmm.
to
What do you?
practice and
What's your major?
my major, I'm not too sure yet, but I want to go headed for the art industry, specifically for cartooning for
Oh yeah,
television.
animation.
Yes, sir. 2D.
No, oh 2D. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to eventually make my own shows one day.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a fulfilling career. You know, it's boundless where you can go. And people love animation like that.
Yeah, and also your art, like with the style and the colors, I love them. So I love that kind of art style so much. I love your art, and I wanna actually I just really love your art, and it inspires me to create art similar to yours, like with that style and
Yes,
the
you
colors.
can.
It's so beautiful.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. I enjoy it too. You know, I often say that the art that I create the art that I want to see on the walls when I look at the walls. Um, and oftentimes some of my inspiration is Disney books, right? Disney
Mm.
animation books. Like I love looking at how they constructed these figures and what they do to the setting, background, how they compose things, and how they how they take a few shapes and repeat it throughout the cartoons or illustrations. Um, and the colors are always amazing. So Disney's really been part of my inspiration, um, with my colors and also my composition and just the energy of my pieces. And I've never really admitted that. I did in one article, but it's true.
Wow. I, I can see it now. It's also uses it's very realistic, and it's like, yeah, like Disney, they reference things with real life and they link them
Yeah,
to, yeah, and I see it with your art too. Like you very I've seen like very detailed like a lot of details of the city of New Orleans with the music. I've been there myself. Beautiful place. Love New Orleans, and
yeah,
seeing your art, it just reminds me of the time where I was visiting the city and
yeah.
seeing, yeah, seeing the music, people playing music, and just the colors and the people, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. New Orleans is definitely a beautiful place to live and to be. At one point, I thought every place was like New Orleans. I Before I started traveling, I just assumed that everybody talks to you everywhere, and that there's culture everywhere. But it didn't take long to realize that New Orleans was definitely like an island.
Yeah, it's so strange how things are, or it's so interesting how depending on where you are, people behave differently.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Um, Also, this brings me at another question. How I hope I'm explaining myself this correctly, because I'm writing about this now. Um, okay, I wrote something here. It says here, it's the sentence is really good because I was just typing away. So I said here,
Okay.
Osborne turned to painting and based his art from impressionist artists like John Singer Sargent. Culture and music provided in his hometown in his paintings. I messed up on that sentence. I was trying to say that you used culture from the city and added it
Hmm.
onto your paintings. You used the inspiration from, and you also used the inspiration of impressionism from people
Hmm.
like John Singer Sargent.
Hmm.
And
Sure.
but
You want to say impressionism because impressionism might not be the right way to say that.
okay, so I should say artist of impressionism.
Um, well, you wouldn't say he was inspired by artists. He was inspired by impressionist artist.
Okay.
Impressionist artist, John Singer Sargent.
Okay. Turn to painting.
So impressionist, or you can even say impressionistic artist. Either
Oh,
one will do.
impressionistic. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right. And also, this brings me to another question. Um, music, impressionism, and your art. How did you? Um, I don't know how to explain myself correctly. Um,
Take your time.
all right. Uh,
How did I merge them?
yes,
Is that what you?
with the lighting and the music and into like how did you make the lighting match with the mood of the painting, if you understand what
I
I'm
got
trying to say?
you. I know what you mean. Yeah. So for me, lighting is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uh, color is the thing that let me see the best way to describe it. Color is sort of the if light and shadow is fruit, then the color is like preserves of the fruit. You get me? Like you can do a lot with the you can get a lot from the light and shadow because those things you can get a lot of contrast from, right? Those things are they can make a piece, but once you add color to it, then that's what gives it its richness. That's what turns fruit into preserves, right? It gives it it's the sweet version of a piece when you add some uh, nice rich color to it. Um, so I've always been attracted to color because color is one of those things that you just can't pass up, right? Because you can't pass it up because you can't just see it and pass it up is what I mean, because you have a sort of emotional attachment to color. For instance, if when you wake up in the morning, you start looking through your wardrobe and you have to go in there and choose a color of what you're going to wear because you know that color is going to give off a certain energy, right? You're going to feel a certain way in that color. So, working with color on a piece of art is sort of like playing with people's energy, right? Visually playing with their energy. Same thing with music. When you listen to music, if you put a certain song on, you can be happy, upbeat mood. Or it can be somber and put you in a sort of a I guess withdrawn or sort of sad mood. Whatever the case, your music and color are basically the same thing, just in two different
Oh,
forms.
oh, this is really good. I could mention that in okay, I'm recording this thankfully, so
Yeah.
oh, I'm definitely going to mention that in my essay. Okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
really good. I didn't even think about it that way. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And another question. Um, how has John Singer Sargent inspired you?
Yeah, so I'm inspired by John Singer Sargent in a different way than I am about other artists. It's not even so much his color or his composition or anything like that. And those things are strong with him. But what I really enjoy is how he paints his strokes. What he does is he'll start to paint something, and then he does this thing that I call kind of touch and go. He puts the paint there, and then he moves on. He moves to the next part, and however he leaves it is how he leaves it. And it's usually in the reason why Impressionism was popular and still is to this day is because it's the simplest version of the image that you paint, right? So the painter simplifies the image so much that if you could, the least amount of strokes you can do it in, the better. And John Singer Sargent was a master at making things simple and moving on to the next thing. If he had to, I mean, there are a few paintings that I really enjoyed, but my favorite one is called Two Wine Glasses. If you look at that painting, it's a there's a porch scene with a table and the tablecloth. The sun is bleeding in through the rail of the porch and drenching the tablecloth and the ground and all that, and the table. And there are these two wine glasses that are sitting in the foreground. And they're done with such simple brushstrokes that you don't realize they're there in the beginning. It took me a while to see that the wine glasses were there. That's how simple they are. And his lines, the way that he paints, it's almost like he took a part of the sun and put it on his paintbrush and added it to the canvas, to create that. I mean, it's a simple image, but I love what he did with it, and you could see what he did. Just it's not like some paintings are so detailed, they almost look realistic, and to me, when they get that way, they're boring. Um, it's his it's not detailed. They're very simple strokes, and it's almost as if you can see him working, and so that painting is amazing. You should look that one up for sure.
I'm looking at it right now. It's very pretty.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not much to it. You can almost pass it up when you look at it. It's not dramatic or anything like that. At first, you don't realize that, but then when you really look at the strokes that are on that tablecloth and around that, the sun, where he just captured the sun at that moment, you can see the sun strokes perfectly, and you can see the sun and you can see his strokes perfectly. It's so simple and just done so gracefully. Like I love it.
Like I can also, so another thing I noticed, and I think it's part of impressionism. Well, what you mentioned about the lighting with the sunlight, it describes about impressionism well, because lighting. So I noticed
Mm-hmm.
that, especially when you look at the floor and the lighting on the floor under the table,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like it's kind of like wavy. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if that's like a
Yeah.
good way to describe it, but
Yeah. It's that's true impressionistic style. You just with impressionism, and impressionism, the word, of course, the root word in it is impression. So you give sort of the impression of the image being there because it's there in its simplest form. Um, that's the beauty of it. That time, artists really were appreciating brushstrokes. That was the most important thing. Whoever could do the best brushstrokes, not the most realistic, because they had just come out of realism. Realism was the thing for years. Then they started loosening up, and the brushstroke was the most important thing at that point. So that's what made Sargent a master at it. He used the simplest brushstrokes, and he knew how to do that.
wow. And I can also I notice in some of your portraits, especially in your portraits, like the people wearing the houses and the instruments for heads. I see a bit of stroking like in a similar way in the background, and also
Yeah,
at the skylights, and I specifically noticed at the skylight a lot of like it's a lot like Van Gogh.
yeah. So Van Gogh and Sargent are my two influences of at least from the masters. Um, yeah, Van Gogh was my very first influence, and just because I love his strokes, the energy he put into his work, um, no one was doing it at that time, and they actually thought less of his work. He's more of a post impressionist artist, so he was moving out of the impressionism era and into post impressionism, where he did do those strokes, but his were um, he was more interested in the energy of the piece, and so his colors are always vibrant. At that time, they were too vibrant for most people, and everything just seemed like it was radiating, sort of vibrating. And I loved that energy about his piece, about all this work. So I created a piece called Starry Nola after his one of his most popular, his Starry Night, to honor him. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have.
Yeah.
It's like one. I this is like I kid you not. This is like one of the like my favorite pieces of art is when I saw that. I was scrolling through Google Images trying to find artists, and then I saw this. It just stood out, and then I was like, "Who is this? Terrance Osborne? I'm choosing him."
Oh, good. That was the one that brought
Yeah, and I saw your other art. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is I'm choosing him."
you.
And I think I might have answered this before. Um,
Okay.
but I said which does that say feature? Which features inspired you to use the art style you used in the form of impressionism? Impressionism.
Impressionism. Yeah, that's of course Sargent, definitely my impressionist artist, and then Van Gogh. Impressionism.
I see now. Hmm. Right. So there are differences like compare. I'm comparing and contrasting two specific pieces of art. One is one of your pieces called it's called Wind Song.
Oh, Windsong. Yeah, that's an old one.
Yes, I notice it's your calm. It's like it's very calm compared to the other um, pieces, like compared to the other pieces that you've painted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one that has to do with my that piece came from my music choice. Um, hold on, hold on one second. Okay.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah. So yeah, that came from my interest in easy music, mostly rock. Um, I was listening to John Mayer and Jason Mraz, they're two of my favorite. Tracy Chapman, um, those are some artists that I love listening to. It's a lot of times whatever I'm listening to while I'm working, the art tends to take tends to absorb some of that energy from that whatever style of music I'm listening to. And so typically it's my I love listening to storytellers who um, who have uplifting, easy music. That's typically my favorite. So the coffee shop music.
Oh, nice. So you link that to the art that you've made. It's I can see it like very it's very calm and
Yeah,
the colors aren't they're still bright and beautiful, but they're not as many colors. It's a lot calmer.
yeah, Yeah, it is, but and also, and that's a good eye, but that because that's my earlier work as well. So my color palette wasn't completely developed at that time. I was still trying to find it. I knew I liked bright colors and I enjoyed using them, but I was still experimenting with different colors. Now I've arrived at about 8 colors that I use for most of my work.
All right. I see now. So, yeah, experimenting, and you were seeing how things were before. I can see I can see it foreshadow into what your art or your latest art is today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can see it peeking through just a little bit.
Yeah. Um, wow. And I'm trying to compare that piece. I'm not sure whether to choose uh, the piece Wind Song or the other one. Let me look at my paper. It's called Trombone Shorty.
Yeah, the shorty. Yeah. So that one's the 2012 Jazz and Heritage Festival poster. That's more recent. My color was completely developed at that point. Um, and that one, I mean, from that one does have a certain calm about it, but it's more so like uh, if you want to call a rooster waking you up in the morning calm, then that's it. It's got that sort of um, you see the potential energy in it, um, but he's the only one in the scene. Well, there is a lady in the door, but for the most part, he's the only one in the pic or in the piece. Um, that has more, I guess, more potential energy in it. Whereas the first one, the Wind Song, is a little more subdued.
Subdued, that's the word.
Yeah.
All right, because I'm comparing and contrasting to Wind Song. I can't find it in the papers though, in the cited sources, and to a piece of art called El Jaleo by John Singer Sargent. I was trying, or I'm trying to compare and contrast the two with the use of impressionism.
Mm. Yeah, I'd have to see that one by Johnson or Sargent.
Yeah, and something I noticed about this piece, if you take a look at it, or if you're able to now,
Yeah,
it
what's
shows,
called?
it's called El Jaleo, Jaleo. It shows some gypsies dancing, and if you look at the lighting, it is very dark, but it causes, or it expresses some kind of like, or
Oh
no,
yeah,
like some kind of drama to
yeah, that's interesting. That almost looks like yeah, I've seen this one. That one's beautiful. It has this uplighting. So you were comparing this one to which one?
Wind Song.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, there's a guitar up there. Looks like a guitar.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of them hanging up there. Most of them are playing guitars, like Spanish gypsies
Yeah.
dancing.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I chose these two because they kind of gave off. I don't know, something about them. They both gave off similar.
Energy.
Yes, I was gonna say vibes, energy. With the lighting very subdued, dark, but and El Jaleo, it's very. I don't know. It just causes. It's like very. It causes like drama to
Mhm.
the characters,
Mhm.
while what's the other one called? The Wind Song. Sorry.
One song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wind Song. Sorry. It's like very subdued and calm.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. Those two are a good contrast.
Yeah, very, and they're both very beautiful.
Mhm.
All right. And okay, also kind of curious too. How did you teach yourself the art, or do you have any tips of teaching yourself, or of learning and learning how to paint in that particular style?
So when you say that particular style, what exactly do you mean?
Oh, I mean, in the Van Gogh style, like very. How do you get to? How do you paint like very like vividly? Like you. How do you paint
Hmm?
like? How do you paint like Van Gogh, or get your drawing or get your paintings to be really sharp and colorful and vivid?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's really no secret to it. Um, I think it's just it's. I mean, it may be. I guess it may sound. Um, trying to get the right word. Uh,
Overused.
no, no. Um, Discouraging. Or may at the risk of it sounding discouraging, either you have it or you don't. If you're painting at this, if you're creating at this magnitude or this level, it's not something that you can just learn. It's not like that. If that were the case, a lot of people would be doing it. Um,
Oh.
but what I can say is that you have to do the extreme version of whatever it is that you're interested in. So like I was saying earlier, if you're interested in fruit, then you want to create. Um, if you're interested in fruit, then you want to eat preserves. If you're interested in grapes, then you want to drink wine. Like if you're interested in um, a I think if you're interested in fire, then burn the house down. I know that sounds
Oh.
like
Oh.
you know what I mean. Like you have to whatever it is. If you're interested in color, then you have to do color that that is that that burns your soul or cools the earth. When you think of it, you want to think of the most extreme. I don't mean to just use every color and that it's going to come together that way, because it'll just look like it'll look like you just threw everything together. It's a sort of controlled explosion, right? You you have to, whatever you're doing, you have to find the fire in it in order to do it. You know, color is not something that you that a lot of people are just go into with no problem. Color is an intimidating thing for some people because you're thinking. Uh, a lot of people are afraid to put the color down there, and that, like what we spoke about earlier, is the reason why people are afraid is because they're emotionally tied to color. And so um, when you use an extreme color, then it says something about you as a person. It says something about your character, right? A good example is my wife and I. My wife has a very, very fiery energy about her. So when she dresses, she dresses in cooler, calming colors, right? And that balances her. I'm just the opposite. So um, I'm more chill, and I like fiery things. So when I dress with warmer colors and almost fiery colors. And we balance each other out. But the so that's sort of my point about um, the art part of it. You you have to go to the extreme of what you are trying to find to express yourself fully. Otherwise, just don't do it. You know, it's sort of an all or nothing thing.
All right. So like, basically, be passionate and hungry, and really like put all your effort into something that put all your effort into creating something that you want to create in the style that you want to be.
Yes, exactly. That's a good way to say it. Put everything into it, and it's risky, of course, but the more you do it, the better you get at it.
All right. Wow, this is really good.
Cool, cool.
Okay.
Is that uh, is that all your questions?
Um. Hmm. Yeah. This is all. This is good. Thank you a lot for your time. Thank you very much.
Certainly, yeah. Well, feel free to text me at this number or call if you need to. But if you have any other questions or think of anything else, and you're still working on the assignment, just let me know. I'll be happy to answer. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. And also, may you please send me like would you I was gonna ask if you'd like to see the essay when I'm finished. I don't know if I'm really supposed to do that for
Well,
my
you
college.
mean to approve it for me? Is that what you mean, or just when you're finished after you've done it?
Yes, when I
Uh,
submit it and finish it, I can um, send you what I've written.
yeah, and well, it's not necessary. It's fine. It's your paper, but I'll be happy to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was nice talking to you. It was nice to meet you and to interview you. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. I hope you get an A on it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Enjoy your night.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.
And that was it.